Coming up tonight, the House passes a resolution that will establish the next phase in the impeachment inquiry.
Governor Andrew Cuomo allocates $43 billion to prevent lakeshore flooding.
And the teachers' strike in Chicago reaches its end.
WTOP 10 Nightly News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Peter Wendler.
And I'm Stephanie Stoiko.
House Democrats overwhelmingly voted to formalize the impeachment inquiry against President Trump. Trump, who stands accused of improperly exerting political influence over Ukraine, received unanimous support from House Republicans, who all voted against the resolution. House Minority Leader and Republican Kevin McCarthy said the Democrats are, quote, scared they will be unable to beat Trump in the 2020 election. The resolution passed was proposed by Democratic leaders and determines how the impeachment inquiry will function going forward. The resolution introduced earlier this week was supposed to make impeachment more palatable for Republicans.
The passing of the resolution brings the impeachment of President Trump one step closer to becoming a reality. However, it could still be weeks before the House votes on the articles of impeachment, and it would still take a vote from the Senate to remove the president from office. The divide between the Republican and Democratic parties on the House resolution vote may foreshadow more political partisanship to come. The White House responded to the vote saying it was, quote, unfair, unconstitutional, and fundamentally un-American. Democratic Representative Adam Schiff said there is no joy in pursuing impeachment, but it is a challenge Democrats will not shrink from.
During his trip to Oswego earlier today, Governor Cuomo announced a $43 million fund for Cayuga and Oswego County projects that will prevent future Lake Ontario flooding. Mayor Billy Barlow says the city of Oswego has secured $12.6 million of that fund. In a tweet earlier today, Mayor Billy Barlow said, quote, thanks to @NewYorkGov Cuomo, leadership we have now, the resources we need to fully capitalize on our waterfront repair damage caused by the high water levels and take full advantage of our position along Lake Ontario, end quote.
Officials in Onondaga County have approved a $71 million tax break plan to support the upcoming development of a $350 million warehouse in the town of Clay. The County Industrial Development Agency unanimously approved the deal, which is predicted to employ at least 1,000 employees. Project developer Trammell Crew Company said the warehouse would encompass nearly 3.8 million square feet, making it the second largest warehouse in the world. The project is estimated to result in a $40 million annual payroll.
Oswego County Opportunities Crisis and Development Services are receiving a 3-year, $3 million grant from the New York State Office of Victim Services through the Victim and Witness Assistance Grant Program. The grant will help OCO to aid families programs and will help sustain and expand critical services needed for survivors of domestic and sexual violence in Oswego County. It is said the grant will be essential in addressing the gaps in the current program services.
The city of Oswego is voting on a proposition to make Oswego cleaner. Peyton Ashford reports.
As part of the Keep Oswego Clean initiative, Mayor Billy Barlow and City Hall officials unanimously voted to ban the use of styrofoam and smoking on public property.
Cigarette butts constitute the majority of litter on beaches, playgrounds, etc. Reduction of use results in reduced cleanup costs for the community.
Cigarette filters, e-cigarette pods, and plastic wrappers all contain toxic chemicals that can leak into water supplies and are not biodegradable. These products can also pose a major threat to children and small animals.
That's the bottom line for me is quality of life that will be improved for us as residents, current residents, and for future residents.
Citizens as well as SUNY Oswego students have expressed their support for the ban.
To have the law be all-encompassing and have a more robust, Keep Oswego Clean initiative. I feel like besides just banning styrofoam products, they should too expand it to ban other single-use plastic products as well. Then we have to also take that responsibility to heart and act on that responsibility to protect not just the people, but the climate of the city of and the environment of the city of Oswego as well.
Now that it's been passed, the initiative is set to take place April 22nd, 2020. Reporting for WTOP, I'm Peyton Ashford.
Barlow says city police will enforce the smoking and vaping ban, while the styrofoam ban will be enforced by the Code Department.
Governor Andrew Cuomo is announcing the start of New York State of Health's 2020 open enrollment period. This marks the 7th annual year of the Open Enrollment Plan, which provides New Yorkers with a local health plan meant to be affordable and easily accessible. Cuomo said, quote, "We believe health care is a right, not a luxury, and we will continue our efforts to provide New Yorkers with quality, affordable health care coverage." The open enrollment period begins November 1st.
The New York City Council passed a legislation banning the sale of foie gras in the city. Foie gras is the liver of a specially fattened goose or duck, commonly prepared as food. The ban comes after animal cruelty concerns were raised by activists. The legislation intended to reduce many forms of animal cruelty, including pigeon capturing and working horses on humid days.
The classical sci-fi television series The Twilight Zone is headed to the big screen in Syracuse. To celebrate the show's upcoming 60th anniversary, CVS and Fathom Events are partnering to present 6 episodes of the show, along with a new documentary paying tribute to upstate New York native Rod Serling, host and creator of the Twilight Zone series. The episodes and documentary will be showcased during a 3-hour event on November 14th at 7 p.m. Coming up later tonight, the Chicago teacher strike comes to an end with a tentative deal and $35 million on the line.
And a train in Pakistan catches fire following a gas explosion, killing dozens and leaving multiple wounded.
Now let's take a quick look at the weather with Storm Team 10 meteorologist Walker Snowden. Walker, what do you have?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Storm Team 10 meteorologist Walker Snowden, and boy, do I have some headlines for you this evening. We have a high wind warning here in Oswego County, as well as a lakeshore flood warning. We have colder temperatures potentially coming as soon as today, and possibly flurries and snow coming next weekend. As for our current satellite and radar, we've had a front come throughout the day today, and it's going to continue moving eastward. We should see the end of these rain effects coming through the end of tonight. As for our current temperatures, we are around 64 degrees here in Oswego, fairly warm, not for too much longer though. A 66 in Pulaski and around 66 in Fairhaven. Stay tuned for more of a spooky forecast after the break. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Storm Team 10 meteorologist Walker Snowden, and let's go ahead and get into what I'm talking about when I say spooky forecast. We actually have a lakeshore flood warning for Jefferson and Oswego County here labeled in green, and we have a high wind warning labeled for the rest of these northwestern counties in New York labeled in yellow. These effects are going in from 12 a.m. to around 8 p.m. for a lakeshore flood warning, and as well as a 4 a.m. to 6 p.m. high wind warning. So we'll see these warnings stay through the effect through tomorrow in the afternoon. As for our winds, those winds are what is going to cause most of the lakeshore flooding. And the winds are going to start picking up starting right now. And as we continue into the afternoon, we're not talking about our normal high Oswego winds. We're talking about something a lot more, potentially even hurricane-type winds. We're actually seeing winds around 59 miles an hour tomorrow in Oswego, around 7:45. That's one of the reasons why the National Weather Service has issued this warning. And we're actually going to see this peak around tomorrow morning. And as we head further into the afternoon, we're going to see these wind speeds fairly increased as well. 37 miles an hour here in Oswego, 36 miles an hour in Harrisburg, and 31 over here in Lowville. And as we continue into the afternoon on Friday into the morning of Saturday, we're actually going to see these winds slowly decrease to what we're about used to here in Oswego, 22 miles an hour, although these are still elevated over our normal averages for this time of the year. And as for Saturday into continuation, we're actually going to see these winds finally die back down to around normal levels. As you can see here on the map, we're around 11 miles an hour here in Oswego, 4 miles an hour over in Adams, and 2 miles an hour in Harrisburg. As for our satellite and radar, as for our future cast, we've seen a significant rain band go through over the past several days. As we continue on from tonight into this morning, around Friday, around 2 a.m., we're finally going to see the rest of this precipitation head out. As we continue further on into Friday, we could potentially see a little bit more precipitation and unfortunately a wintry mix and potentially even snow over towards the Tug Hill, Lowville area over here around 40 degrees. 37 here in Harrisburg. These are a little warmer temperatures for the surface, so we won't see too much accumulation for this precipitation. But thankfully over towards the Oswego side of this bands, we're actually going to stay in the rain section, not even getting this wintry mix possibly heading down towards Oneida Lake. And as we continue on Friday and to head on into Friday afternoon to Saturday morning, we're going to see these precipitation head out and actually eventually come and clear up towards Saturday afternoon. As for our Halloween forecasts, 46 tonight, And as we head into tomorrow, it's going to be around 45 and cloudy. The winds around 30 to 40 miles an hour. And as for our 7-day forecast, we're actually going to be a little bit more cold as we head through the rest of this week. And the flurries, potential flurries, that's right, snow sticking on the ground coming through possibly Thursday through the end of next week. Stay tuned for more news and sports after the break.
Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. Thousands of teachers and students in Chicago would return to school on Friday after 11 days of protest. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot announced the strikes end earlier today after a tentative deal was reached between city officials and the protesting teachers. The city has agreed to allocate $35 million towards reducing class sizes and adding hundreds of staff positions. Lightfoot confirmed the agreements with Chicago Teachers Union President Jesse Sharkley.
We have reached an agreement with CTU President Jesse Sharkey. Classes will resume tomorrow. We invited him to come out so we could do a joint announcement. He declined, but we have an agreement, and teachers will be back in class and students will be back in class tomorrow.
An Arizona couple goes above and beyond for Halloween. They got hooked on Limax Spooky Town collectibles, and they've built their own massive but miniature village. Veronica Acosta has the story.
A pumpkin patch, an amusement park, and a graveyard with a fountain. Now, these aren't places you'll find outside. Instead, inside John Taylor's dining room. And it all kicks on with the push of a button.
We pretty much lose our house for a couple of months.
For several weeks out of the year, Taylor and his wife set this spooky town up inside of their home. Decorating for Halloween has been something the Taylors have done for more than 2 decades. But this spooky town setup came a little more recently, and it happened fast.
They were on a bookshelf in our house, and then it went to another bookshelf, and it kind of grew some more. Then it went to the dining room table, and grew some more, added a table, got way out of control, grew much bigger.
And the display isn't just for them to enjoy, it's for all those who love Halloween.
It's a hobby. We love seeing the kids in their costumes.
And while ghouls, goblins, and many more will be trick-or-treating tonight, this Dracula on a motorcycle and Skull overseeing the town will be here, giving joy and lots to look at.
The Taylors say they don't know how much money they've invested into their Halloween house, but that it does not matter to them.
Penn State University is investigating a new allegation of abuse by convicted child molester and former assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky. An incident report filed with university police alleges Sandusky sexually assaulted a visitor to Penn State University between June of 2000 and September of 2010. In total, the report lists 2 counts of rape and 2 counts of, quote, sexual offenses. In 2012, Sandusky was sentenced to 30 years in prison after being convicted of sexually abusing 10 boys over a period of 15 years. Sandusky will be resentenced on November 8th at the Century County Courthouse.
My Chemical Romance has announced a reunion show. This will be their first performance together since 2012. In 2013, frontman Gerard Way posted a long note detailing the band's end, saying, "My Chemical Romance is done, but it can never die because it is not a band, it is an idea." The band is set to perform at the Shrine Expo Hall in Los Angeles, California on December 20th. Tickets go on sale November 1st.
Soldiers, firefighters, and paramedics responded to a train fire in Pakistan that left 70 people dead and 30 people wounded. A fire occurred earlier this morning when a gas container attached to a stove passengers are using to prepare their breakfasts exploded. Flames could be seen in the windows of the train as black smoke rose into the air. An Army helicopter was flown in to evacuate the most critically injured passengers. Pakistani officials have shared their condolences to victims' families on social media. Many people on the train were headed to a protest in the Pakistani capital of Islamabad.
Hong Kong police fired tear gas at protesters who organized a Halloween masquerade to challenge a government ban on demonstrators wearing face masks. The mask ban set in early October had been heavily ignored by protesters, and police have struggled to enforce it. Police closed off sections of central Hong Kong before using tear gas to break up the crowd. Protesters were seen in a variety of costumes, including Guy Fawkes masks and Joker makeup, while some used the occasion to insult Chinese President Xi Jinping by wearing masks of his face.
Firefighters in California are battling multiple fires across the state today, as officials are urging residents to heed warnings and evacuate when told. Steve Nanas has the latest details on what lies ahead.
This is a picture shot from my backyard, my parents' backyard.
Devastation overnight in parts of San Bernardino, California, as some residents awoke to find this.
I gotta go, police is here.
The Hillside Fire is the latest in a series of wildfires wreaking havoc across the state of California. Firefighters rushing to residential neighborhoods, doing whatever they can to contain the new blaze.
My cousin lived right there at that house. You know, they got lucky, you know, and the house behind it. Thank God they got it under control, though.
The fast-moving fire damaged at least 6 homes and at least 2 other buildings in San Bernardino County, according to officials. The speed of the fire underscoring the importance of staying alert.
If folks don't evacuate when we ask them to, it'll be very difficult to try to get them out when the fire is moving toward their homes.
And another new blaze, the 46 fire, broke out in Riverside County. The local high school has been opened as an evacuation center. All across the state, officials are making some headway, but another round of strong winds threatening to pose new challenges.
The weather is going to be a challenge to us today. We're still expecting 20 to 30 mile an hour winds.
California Governor Gavin Newsom says the federal government is assisting and urges all California residents to stay on guard.
Fall is historically one of the most dangerous times of year for wildfires in California. Coming up in sports, Zach Haynes.
Zach, can you give us a quick preview?
Thanks, guys. We got plenty of Oswego hockey to go over, and how does the World Series tie into Central New York? I'll cover that and more after the break. Welcome back to WTOP 10 Nightly News. I'm Zachary Haynes with your sports update. With the preseason over, it's time for hockey to return to the Murano Campus Center for the regular season play. Tomorrow night, the men's hockey team will be hosting the Cortland Red Dragons. The Lakers will be looking towards their leadership in Josh Isaac, Jody Sullivan, and Carter Allen, while Cortland will have Nick Moldiak, Alex Storr-Johan, and Mike Seor. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. While hockey is getting started at home, the women's team will be traveling to Vermont to get their season started. The Lakers will be facing Castleton University in a 2-game series this Friday and Saturday. After a 1-1 preseason, the women will be looking to start their season strong and come home with 2 wins. Friday's puck drop is at 7 p.m. while Saturday's is at 3 p.m. And as we look to the NFL, the Bills took a hard loss against the Philadelphia Eagles last week, but still hold a 5-2 record. With one of the best starts in recent years, Buffalo will be hosting the Washington Redskins this Sunday. Washington comes in with a troublesome 1-7 record. This will be a test for both teams, one looking to prove themselves while the other is trying to be a legitimate title contender. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m. at New Era Field. World Wrestling Entertainment had just made history hosting a women's matchup in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The contest featured Lacey Evans and Natalya A, and what can be seen as a progressive move within the nation, but controversial for WWE. However, this is the first time that female talent has been allowed on television within country limits. Both participants had to wear bodysuits, but Natalya came out on top in the end. And as we come back to the United States, Game 7 of the World Series ended with the Nationals winning it for the first time since they were the Senators in 1924. While D.C. is celebrating, so is Central New York, as one of the pitchers, Patrick Corbin. Corbin is a native of CNY as he graduated from Cicero North Syracuse High School in 2007. Corbin debuted in 2012, but signed on to the Nationals in this previous outseason. The World Series this year was one of the toughest competitions in recent memory, and Game 7 was no different. As you can see here, the Commissioner's Trophy is on the pedestal, ready to be up for grabs. The Astros' Yuli Gurley hits a long home run to give the Astros an early 2-0 lead in the bottom of the second, but that's all they're going to get for this matchup. In the top of the 7th, Anthony Redden sends it into the far left, about the same spot for the lead to be cut in half. Howie Kendrick will get 2 dingers, one for the bat, and as you can see here, it's flying. It gets the dinger off the post for a 3-2 lead in the top of the 7th. At the top of the 9th, Adam Eden hits it center field. Jake Marsnick will try to catch it, but will get an error, causing the Nationals to get a 6-2 lead in the top of the 9th. And here's Daniel Hudson. He strikes out Michael Brantley. The Nationals win the World Series for the first time since 1924 as the Senators. They are celebrating right there. The fans are going nuts in the bullpen. Stefan Strasburg will be the MVP. He is the first overall pick ever to win the World Series MVP. And it's also the Nats are the first team to win all 4 road games to get to the World Series.
Now, you said there's a pretty big week coming up for Lakers hockey, huh?
It's a pretty big week. We're starting off with Cortland Red Dragons, and next week, Whiteout.
And I just wanted to say congratulations on being named Athlete of the Week.
Oh, thank you
it's
so
a pretty
much.
big accomplishment.
Thank you. Actually, for our weather this week, though, we're actually going to see significantly lower temperatures as opposed to what we've seen. It's 60-something degrees today, 66, and we're actually going to get into the 30s this coming week. So that's not too fun. As for tonight, though, we're actually going to see a low of around 38 degrees. The wind and the rain should wrap up through the evening and continue into tomorrow. And as for Saturday and Sunday, the lows are going to actually continue to decrease, and as we actually look all the way up until the end of almost next week, we could potentially see flurries and possibly snow sticking on the ground.
Well, thank you guys for joining in our Thursday night news broadcast. Stay tuned for the Zion at 9:30 and Laker Connections at 10:30 p.m.
Have a great night, everyone.